Ermagerd. Ermagerd. Oh my god, there are already people in here. That's fast. I was gonna find some royalty-free like background music to play. That way I could legally claim this stream. But I decided that I don't want to. I think a lot of you guys listen to your own music while you listen to this sort of stuff, so I won't interfere with that. But I am going to do the best I can to see these comments as they come in, because I'll be honest with you, YouTube sucks at that. So I've got my Twitter open here. Twitter is going to be the best way to reach me. Don't forget Facebook. In fact, I better let the Facebook peeps know that this is up. Let's see. And I don't have a format really set up today. When I did my last live stream last week or the week before, or whatever it was, and I gave away those billets, I had a format going there because I needed to get certain things done, and I had to time it right with Boogie and all that stuff. So let's see. Yeah. All right, and the Twitter stuff is rolling in and out, which I really, really like. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to Zach here first, because he was in the live stream on Twitch the other day, and we were talking about his computer build and whatnot. So I gotta go back and find his link. I think he tweeted me. Pretty sure he tweeted it to me. However, who the hell knows, because my memory these days, it's super shot. It's because it's old. I'm old and I don't remember anything anymore. I'm kind of laughing at this press release. This Apple Apple's warn site website is warning iDevice owners against jailbreaking because it can cause instability, security vulnerabilities, shortened battery life, unreliable voice and data, disruption of services, and an inability to apply future software updates. Now I'll tell you right now, I used to have an awful, like, my very first iPhone was an iPhone 4, because that's when Verizon first got it, and it was jailbroken, not right away, I'd say a few months into it, because I was afraid at first, and at least the versions of jailbreak that I was using, none of that stuff happened. I mean, what's up, Rage? I may have, like, seen a few bugs here and there that maybe required me to restart the phone. But I mean, I didn't have voice and data problems. I didn't have disruption of service. If I wanted to upgrade the software, it was easy enough to wipe the damn thing through iTunes. Instability, it was a little less stable, but whatever. But they also cite the main reason why you shouldn't jailbreak your phone is because they lose money. I don't give a shit if Apple's losing money because I'm jailbreaking my phone. It's my phone. I'll do what I want with it. So I was just reading that article. I was just reading the article a little bit prior to this stream right here, and it was actually making me laugh a lot. And I do not have a jailbroken iPhone 5. I'm thinking about it. Thinking about jailbreaking it, but I haven't. So, and oh my God, you know, there are more responses to this stream than I was expecting. Honestly, the stream is getting more popular. That makes me happy. You know, 25 of you, 35, 45, whatever there is. There's 25 right now, and there were like 40 of you in here watching the live build of my water cooling machine over there. I'm dying. It gets a little bit rainy in California, and we all die. Just didn't know if you guys knew about that. So I'm going to do my best here to get to your questions, both on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So put your questions wherever you want, and I'll do the best I can to find them. I'm going to start here on Twitter real quick. I'm going to go back to the beginning here. Let's see. What did I think about your build? I didn't see it yet. I feel bad because I said I would look at it, and then the live stream crashed the other night, and I got pissed, so I went to bed. What's up, Scott? Hope you document that A 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 8 Okay. Thaddeus says he loves my videos. I'm inspiring to him to build one himself. Well, good. Everyone should be building their own computers. I mean, as much as I'm all for supporting, corporations or businesses or whatever, I'm also all about value. And when you buy a PC, you're buying. Let's see, you're buying overhead. You're buying their electricity bill, their rent, their employees' salaries, markup on costs to cover all of that, the shipping, and granted, I guess you have to pay shipping anyway, but you know, you're going to get less of a performing computer by buying it versus building it yourself. And I hope you guys watched the build video I did for my friend Josh. Building a computer these days, if you don't do anything super custom like the water cooling I did, it's just plugging in parts. It all really, for the most part, only goes one way. I mean, the most tedious part about plugging in the cables is making sure that the I/O cables, for the buttons and the hard drive light and the power light are the right way, and that's about it. And it is freaking cold, and I'm complaining about the cold here. It's like 40 degrees, I think, which is really cold here for California, and the snow level is like just barely above where we live right now. So it's like as the rain is falling right now, it's like snow and then it's turning into rain right before it gets to the ground. It's funny. And it was hailing earlier. And I'm just curious as to what the weather really is right now. 39 degrees. So, I mean, you guys have to admit, for California, 39 degrees is pretty damn cold. And I'm wearing my Carhartt sweater here because it's heavy and it's waterproof and all that stuff. So I got a little sidetracked here. Zach says, already jailbroken your iPhone 5, no problems to report battery life. What jailbreak are you using? Is it tethered or untethered? I've been thinking about doing a jailbreak on this thing. I tend to only jailbreak, I tend to only like jailbreaking when I'm out of warranty, especially since I've already warrantied this phone once, but whatever. Ryan says he's currently building a new PC and would like a good setup. An AMD 8350, Crossfire 7770s and a 600 watt PSU, and MSI 970A G4 6. A couple of things with that build. Do yourself a favor and take the money from the two 770s and put them into one 7870 or a 7950 and screw the Crossfire setup on that, because you're going to be choking that Crossfire setup with that 8350 and putting it on a 970A chipset. I mean, if you honestly want to see the most out of your bulldozer, or not your bulldozer, your pile driver processor, you're going to want to get yourself a 990FX chipset, and that means you're going to have to step that board up a little bit. And I think you can get a 990 chipset. I think there's some boards out there about $150. So it's gonna cost a little bit more, but there is absolutely no point in crossfiring 7770s. I'm just being honest with you. They're such low performing cards. Dislocated Brain, or otherwise Josh, says, hey, what should I expect when swapping your B75M DH3 for a C77 D3H? Will I have to redo the cable management? No. And what would you expect? You'll see the benchmarks of your games go up a little bit higher. You may see loading times increase a little bit. I think, honestly, like I already said to you before, consider maybe switching out that 660 for a TI model. If you can swing the difference of a 660 to a TI 660 would be like huge. Or possibly consider going with that 7850, honestly, the AMD 7850. And if you have any plans of going up to CS6, Adobe CS6, it makes use of those better now than NVIDIA. So, there you go. The orange guy says, what are the courses for college in the computer science area? What are the courses for college? Okay, first of all, there's like 15 different majors within computer science. Computer science as a whole is just computers, but there's programming, networking, hardware, there's network security, there's database management, there's programming, there's different languages of programming. So computer science itself is like saying, just think of that as the department within the college, and then there are different specialties. So you're going to really want to decide what you want to do, because it's a huge range. And I can tell you right now too, when it comes to when it comes to being a programmer, there are lots of different languages, and I've talked to several people, because I'm not a programmer, first off. I just want to say that right off the bat. I've talked to quite a few people who've gotten their computer science degrees and also gotten their certificates, and also have done courses for programming, and none of them really felt prepared out of college for their first programming gig. A lot of it, honestly, is going to be self-studying and self-learning. And sorry, I'm getting a migraine all of a sudden. So you're gonna want to find, when you're in class, you're gonna want to try out maybe some different internships, short-term internships, like a month at a time, sort of thing, to get your feet wet in these different areas and see what you like. Because you may find that you just absolutely hate programming with a passion. And that happened. We hired a guy as a programmer, and he hated it, and he quit, and he went doing something else entirely with his degree. So Zach says he tends to liken PC building with Legos. Yeah, it's really, really easy. It really is. Where it gets complicated later on is with the overclocking and the stability testing, and more complicated setups like two-way SLI, three-way SLI, and all that stuff. Scott says, cold, we're in a blizzard. Yeah, our main office is up in Boston, and Boston right now is under like whiteout conditions. And it's funny because at 1:30 today at work, I was saw an email came in from one of our guys in Cambridge, and he said apparently they're in a state of emergency up there, and the governor of Massachusetts has banned travel. So you're not allowed to drive your car, and they shut down the MBTA, which is the Boston Transit Authority, and so that means no subways, no buses, no taxis, none of that stuff. And some of the guys are still at the office, so they're stuck. They're stuck until that ban is lifted. I have no idea when that's going to be, and if the power goes out, then they got no heat, and it makes the 39-degree temperature here and the rain really easy to deal with. Just saying. I'm gonna get to the YouTube chat in a second, guys. Here, I'm almost done with the Twitter, and then I'll get over to the YouTube chat. But we got 25 people in here. Everybody retweet this or put this on your Facebook or whatever. Let's see how many people we can get in here. Let's see if we can get 40 people in here. That would make me happy today. Okay, 40 degrees is 15 there. You consider that decently warm? Yes, it's very warm for probably where you live. We do have an office up in Rochester, New York, which is just south of Lake Ontario, like right on the edge of Lake Ontario, which is they call it the snow belt. So I know it gets very cold in some parts. Is the Sapphire Radeon 7950 a good graphics card for the $300? The 7950 is a great graphics card for the $300. Probably can't find another $300 card that is quite as good, because $300 is roughly what the 660 Ti is going to cost, and it's upwards of $399 for the 670, and the 7950 in many situations beats the 670. So there you go. The jailbreak is untethered using evasion.com. Very easy, took about 5 minutes. Follows, fails, restore from backup. Perfect. I'll check it out. I might go ahead and just jailbreak this thing. I guess we'll see. Scott, the A8 okay, this is going to be your build here. The A8 Crucial Ballistic Sport 16 gigs DDR3 RAM, low pro OCC Vertex 3, 2.5 120 gig SSD, ASRock A75 Pro 4, FM1. What are you going to be doing for a main drive then? If 120 gig is going to be your OS, you're going to be 120 gig right off the bat only gives you like 114 gigs available, even in formatted state. And once you put on the operating system, you're going to be down under 100. So I hope you have another drive ready to go. Let's see. Anad Tamau says, are you going to have a video on overclocking? Yes, it'll probably be one of my next videos. I'm still working out the kinks of my 8350, which kind of answers Elijah over there. He says, did you upgrade to 8350? If so, how is it? It's an interesting question to answer, and that's why I've been waiting a little bit on the overclock and the review of it, because I'm still deciding exactly how I feel about it, because the 8120 was a damn good processor, and because I went from the 8120 to the 8350, which, Bulldozer has two flagship models, 8120 and 8150, and Piledriver has the 8320 and the 8350. So if I were to make one clean jump, I would have gone to the 8320, but I went to the 8350, which, and just like I mentioned in my video about graphics cards, a lot of manufacturers do binning. What that means is they perform tests on these chips, and they stick them in bins based on how they performed, and then they turn those bins into different products. So the best performers would be the 8350. The ones that did good but not quite as good would be the 8320. And the ones that failed, a core failed, they would unlock lock two of them and put them in as 6300 or the 6100 or whatever, right? So that's binning. What usually happens is the stuff that's on the top end of the bin, like the 8350, typically has less overclocking room than the 8320. Same goes for the 8120 or the 8120 and the 8150. So I have barely been able to squeeze out more megahertz out of my 8350 versus my 8120. But the internal power consumption of the 8350 is a lot cooler. It uses a lot less energy, and I would say I easily saw 10% improvement across the board of computing time and rendering time and all that stuff. In the end, it only cost me about $100 because I sold my 8120 to my brother-in-law's friend, and in fact, I just put that in his computer today. And so for a 10% lower power consumption, lower temperatures across the board, were worth $100 to me. But if I had to shell out the full 200 plus tax, bring it up to like $220 or $214, whatever it would be, I don't know if they'd be worth it. I'll be honest with you, I really don't. And I'm still on the fence about how I feel about recommending AMD to a first-time build or a scratch build versus upgrading. And let me explain that, especially since I know some people are building computers now or just built a computer. It depends on your price range, honestly. The $850 build, we went straight with the 3570K, which is funny. A lot of people are talking shit about that build because of the motherboard that went with it, but people don't realize that the motherboard and processor combo was like barely more than $200, so you can't beat that build in that combo in terms of value. But if his budget had been any lower, and he'll tell you, when we put this computer together on paper weeks ago, I built him out 6 systems on paper. 6. And every system had a variance in some way. Some were AMD builds, some were Intel builds, some were AMD FX, some were AMD Phenom, some were 2500K. In fact, the original build was supposed to be a 2500K, and they were out of stock. I don't think there was a single i7 in there because of the budget. But again, with the video cards, some were NVIDIA, some were AMD. So I gave him the choice of deciding what, if you wanted to stick with some brand loyalty versus necessity. And I wouldn't say it's unbalanced. Some people refer to it as unbalanced. It's really not. I would say it's not 100% optimized, and a lot of that does have to do with the chipset. But he's looking at switching that out to a Z77 board, which will really open things up. And his choke point, honestly, at that point is going to be the 660. And I kind of feel that it would be a more worthwhile upgrade in terms of in terms of general gaming. I think it would definitely be a more worthwhile upgrade for him to take the money, instead of buying a Z77 board now, keeping the B75 board and going with a 660 Ti. So you guys can see how when it comes to building systems, and it's really difficult, because I know it's really easy for you guys to send me a message on YouTube or a Twitter or an email or a Facebook message that says, hey, I want to build a computer. What should I buy? And it's so hard to answer those questions. It really is. And sometimes it's borderline sounding like a hypocrite, because sometimes I'll recommend Intel, sometimes I'll recommend AMD, and I flat out said in Tech Addiction weeks ago that I was not going to buy a Piledriver, that they were, I think the word I used was abysmal, but it became one of those things where I just wanted to maximize what I could, because I'm way down this AMD path now. I mean, I've got a Crosshair V Formula motherboard. It was a $240 motherboard when I bought it because it was fairly new. And when you spend that kind of money on a motherboard, you're not going to just run out and spend that kind of money again on a new motherboard to go with another brand or another platform like Intel. And when I saw that the overclocked 8350 was going toe to toe with a 3770K at a similar overclock, and granted, it only beat it in a couple of like minuscule tests that really make no difference in terms of overall, real world, seat of your pants type of improvements. The fact that it was so close, and the fact that I already had the Crosshair motherboard and I could get it for $100, I kind of feel like I upgraded to an i7 for $100. So that's why I ended up going that route. All right, let's go ahead and go through some of these YouTube messages here and see. I'm going to go back as far as I can here. Okay, so it'll let me go as far back, I guess, as someone asked if I got the 8350. Yep, I already said I did. Watching from South Boston, and it's insane there. Really enjoying the stream in this storm. I enjoy having you as long as you have power. And I think if you were in the stream earlier, you heard me mention the story about my Boston office in Cambridge, the Cambridge office, and what they got stranded because of the ban on transportation. Q Evil says, didn't you recommend in the last stream to stay away from AMD GPUs? No, I never said stay away. What I always say about AMD GPUs is if you're purely gaming, but you're not using them to do a lot of rendering, or you're not using them to do any Adobe Suite CS 5.5 or older, then NVIDIA would be your better bet because the CUDA core technology is more optimized for editing and rendering. But apparently CS6 and Adobe Suite is much more optimized towards AMD now. So I don't know what that's all about. I had a 7970 graphics card for a couple of days, and I returned it because it was such a bad card. It could have been a dud. It honestly could have been a dud. But that was the taste it left, and that's why I just kind of walked away from it at that point. Let's see. Oh boy. Okay. How will PC stack up against the new gaming consoles? Well, you wrote consoles, first of all. But they're going to blow the new consoles out of the water. There's no other way to put it. Even console games are built on PC and ported to console. But PC gaming will always be better, but to get maximum graphics will always cost a premium. So the value of console will be there. But the enthusiast will always go towards PC gaming. And PC gaming graphics overall are going to look way better than even the next-gen consoles. Especially when Sony already announced that the PS4's enticing points has to do with adaptive gameplay type. It has nothing to do with hardware. So I don't know what to expect from that comment. BT488 says, I read your comment in one of the Linus's videos when he was benchmarking the processors. If it saved 10% of my year saving time on something like that, it's quite a bit of time. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if it takes, if I save only a couple of minutes every time I render something, and I do render all the time. I'm in Photoshop, I'm in Vegas, not just for my videos, but I'm always doing intros or backgrounds and stuff. And if it takes less time, at the end of 10% less time, and I did a test, by the way. I rendered one of my webcam MP4s into a YouTube MP4 because I convert right into YouTube's format, so when I upload it processes immediately. When I encoded that, before I swapped, it took 4 minutes and 26 seconds. I have a picture of it. When I put in the 8350 and re-encoded that video from the RAW format, it was like 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So in that situation, it was a very big improvement. But there were no effects. There was no fades. There was no text. There was no transitions. There was no layers. So it was just a very raw encode test. And that saved me a lot of time just in that one video. And I figure with how often I do it, if over the course of a year, if I get, hours of my time back, that's worth some money to me. How good are the best graphics you can get right now? Oh boy, the comments are updating faster than I can read them now. I don't know what you mean by how good are they. They're really good. That's really a strange... sorry. They're loud people out there. Okay, my Panda Man said, or Frank the Walrus says, "Hey there, Jay. Hey Frank, why don't you go back to PKA?" No, I'm just kidding. My Panda Man says there are rumors. What the fuck? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, your thing might have gone by too fast. ZX Rack says, "Son, best graphics card." Oh, okay. I guess you're answering the question. Yeah, 680 or 7970s. It depends though. If you want a dual GPU card, then you're talking the 7990, which I think is made by Gigabyte. I could be wrong on that. And the 690, which are both dual GPU cards, or SLI on one card. What games do I play? I play a lot of shooter games. I also play some simulation games. I have Flight Simulator 10 I really like to kind of veg out on. I used to do World of Warcraft. I don't anymore, really. The Battlefield series, Battlefield 3, Crisis series, Crisis 3 beta, all that stuff. So that said, if you want 3 weeks, if you wait 3 weeks, the GeForce Titan comes out at $900 rumored and apparently offers 20% better performance over the 690, which is two 680s. So I haven't even seen the Titan yet. I better look into that. Yes, this is a Blue Yeti there. JD Kill, sorry. Update your 560 Ti to a 660 Ti only, or do that and update your 2500K in an Ivy Bridge and new Mobo. I wouldn't make the change to Ivy Bridge. One, because depending on your motherboard, it should be able to be the same. It's the same socket type as your 2500K anyway. 1155 and 1156 are compatible. You would see a bigger upgrade from your 560 Ti to your 660. Ivy Bridge was only a 10% improvement over Sandy Bridge, and in fact, a lot of Ivy Bridge processors actually ran hotter. Crazy Shooter Dude, yes, Blue Yeti. Okay. It's changing the 7770 from... Wait, it's changing to a 7770 from a 650 Ti. It's changing what? Are you asking if it's good? I don't know, honestly. The 650 Ti, I kind of stay... I hate to be a snob, but I really do somewhat stay away from the low-end stuff. And Rage, I just got your link. I'm going to check it out after. I might check it out during the stream, actually. Panda Man loves me. No, I love you more. Keith Fisher says, building a new system with a Sabertooth 990FX and 8350 ideas. What to expect for overclocking? It took me a couple of hours because I was doing a lot of fine tuning. I did get my rig, my 8350 and a 990FX Crosshair V formula stable up to 4.996 gigahertz. I could not get 5.016, so 5.016 gigahertz stable. I couldn't do it, but I didn't play with it too much, and I had to put the voltage all the way up to 1.5375 to get that to even start the test and boot, and temperatures were just going like much higher than I wanted them to, even with the amount of water cooling that I do. So but you can expect some pretty good overclocks so easily. I mean, depending on your cooling though, I think 4.5 on air and 4.6 on air is very doable. It runs like 5 to 6 degrees Celsius cooler than the Bulldozer did. Goku's son wants to know where I live. I live in Southern California. What do I think of the new Steam box? If you're talking about the piston, nobody knows exactly what the Steam box is yet unless they made an announcement that I didn't see. The piston, it's a neat little modular PC, but it's really expensive. It's really expensive. The A10 is relatively new. I guess their new APUs won't come out for another 8 to 10 months. Oh, you must be referring to something I don't know about. PKA got shut down. What do you mean shut down? Like, okay, why'd they get shut? Is it over? Or did they actually get shut down? And if so, I want details now. Okay, KJIXHD. How did I meet Boogie? Francis. He actually contacted me, first off. He needed help with some computer stuff, and I helped him, and then we got to chatting, and everything went pretty well. And PKA got DDoSed. So you mean Woody himself got DDoSed. You know, they just put a kid, they whatever. Wow. Yeah. See, you know, it's stuff like that that makes me hope that I never get big, because I don't know why people do that crap. Whatever. I mean, honestly though, if I ever get like any sort of an audience like PKA or Woody or any of them get, I'm putting a sonic wall in here and just let them try and DDoS my sonic wall. Any experience or heard about EVGA's Precision X overclocking software? Yes, it is the exact same thing as sorry, MSI Afterburner. It's just a different skin. The 660 Ti isn't exactly low end. No, it's not low end at all. I consider the 650 and the 650 Ti to be low end. Let's see here. How much will you pay for a low to medium settings on a computer? I may be doing a $500 build coming up here. We're gonna see what happens here. I've got a friend who has serious need to replace a computer, and he's gonna want to do it on the lowest budget possible. I'm gonna suggest a $500 gaming rig build. So we'll see how that goes. So keeping that in mind, is the 60 Ti the best bang for the buck card right now? Probably not. As much as I like NVIDIA, and I even proudly display my 680 box on the shelf up there all the time, the best bang for the buck card right now is probably the 7850, honestly. And the AMD 7850. Am I at 5 gigahertz right now? No, I'm currently running at 4.82 right now. Yeah, PK got DDoSed. Woody said the show's over. When you say the show's over, you mean for the night, or he's just like, fuck it, PK is over. Anyway, I was looking at him today. He looks like he's a little cross-eyed. I never noticed that. Anyway, Jay, do you think that technology is still in its infancy? Kind of weird, I know. Yeah, absolutely. Technology is one. Look at where we are today, right? And look at where we were 100 years ago, and look at where we could potentially be in 100 years. I think technology is going to be one of those things where, and I need to turn off Skype. I don't want to keep getting noises. Sorry about that. Normally I turn off the sounds and stuff, but mute all sounds. Save. There we go. Okay. I don't think technology is ever going to stop moving, because we're going to find new ways to combine elements. I mean, look at die sizes. Look at how much die size has shrunk over the last 5 years versus the last, let's say, 20 years, right? I mean, I'm looking at this. Let me just grab it. This old 8800 Ultra. This 8800 Ultra that I hang on the wall right here. Look at the size of this G80 GPU right here. This thing is, if you've not seen what the processor size looks like in the new, and the heat spreader covers the entire GPU, with processor in here. If you haven't seen what they look like on a 680, they're like half this. And as die size keeps shrinking, performance goes up, calculation time goes down, power consumption goes down, and eventually they're going to find some whole new material other than silicon to use for processors. So yeah, I think technology is going to constantly be advancing, and I think any single stage of technology that you ever find yourself in is going to be in its infancy. That's just my opinion, though. Might fight, and I don't know. Okay, PK got DDoSed. Okay. i5 3570K, ASRock Z77 Extreme 4, Sapphire 7950, OCZ 60 gigabyte SSD, 8 gigabyte Vengeance, 700 watt modular, HAF 912, Western Digital Green 500 with 6K stands for 1050. That's a decent build, but I kind of wonder a couple of things. One, why the 912? Because it's such a it's like the bottom end of the half series. Why a 60 gig OCZ when M4 128s are so cheap? And 7950 is all right, I guess. 8 gigabytes of Vengeance. I would go 16, but that's just me. But all that for 1050 is really not a bad build. I mean, is that used or is that like built? Do you think I could see like 4.8 with an H100i? Yeah, I do. I think you could, because the H100i I think also has thicker tubing on it, which allows for more water flow. I would say either the 60 Ti is best bang for buck or 7950. I think the 7850 is the best bang for buck, but I think 7950 there, Rage, it starts to be considered enthusiast class card. So and people aren't going to spend $350 on a card in most cases. Any thought on the Cooler Master Sidon 120mm or 120M? I've not seen it, obviously. What do I think about Cougar Vortex case fans? I think they're really cool. I just wish they came in another color besides orange. At least all the ones I've ever seen were black and orange. A lot of people really like them, but they're I mean, they've got a really neat design on the fin. Apparently, they really cut down on the noise, and it's a lot more. It's a noise pitch that a lot of people can tolerate, I guess. So he's not going to be doing PKA live anymore unless he can stop the attacks, huh? Well, yeah, I guess. He could honestly just put a Sonic wall in. I mean, God, with 1.1 million subscribers, you know he has enough money to afford a Sonic wall. Come on. I mean, protect your livelihood at that point. All right, Vast 729. See you later, man. Have a good night. What do I think is the best budget for running Crisis and Battlefield on my max settings? Okay, you can't compare Battlefield and Crisis on max settings because Crisis was developed back in 2011 and several years prior to that, and Crisis is still in development and gets released on the 19th. My 680, my setup, which is one of the fastest AMD gaming rigs benchmarked according to 3D Mark's rankings. I wouldn't say it struggles with Crisis, but I would definitely say keeping it above 60 frames per second or that locked VSync mark is a lot harder than it is with Battlefield. Battlefield, God, I turn off VSync and it shoots up to like 170 frames per second in a 64-player server. But Crisis, it'll sit at that 60 frames per second locked on VSync, but then it will jump down to as low as like 30, depending on what's happening. But I'm not. A lot of people are quick to start because people want to jump on the whole I want to cash in on Crisis video bandwagon, so they're all like, oh, I'm going to put out Crisis videos because I want to get views and blah, blah, blah. Anyone who's serious about gaming is going to know that you never judge a game's performance based on its beta, because Battlefield 3 beta was the same way. In fact, I think Battlefield 3 beta, I think, might have even been locked at medium settings, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Any thoughts on... Oh, I already answered that. Cougar fans answered that. Okay. For the night, sorry, gonna run. Whoa. See ya, Josh. What's a Sonic Wall? Sonic Wall is a brand that makes VPNs, or virtual private networks, where everything inside of your house, all the way to the router, works on a virtual server that's completely separate. And so, what makes DDoS possible is that, you know, they get this distributed denial of service where they get all these computers to just run a simple command, ping and your IP address, ping, 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 ping. But the thing is, unless your router takes that IP address and resolves it and sends the information back, that ping doesn't happen. Because all the ping happens is it says, I'm going to throw something at you and I'm going to see how long it takes to come back. But if you can get hundreds or even thousands of computers to do this all at the same time, your internet bandwidth can't handle all of that, so it freaks out, and then it happens so much at one time, your internet connection stops, and you've got to reset the router in some cases. And so what a VPN, or a virtual private network, does is it changes the IP address at the router. So the router is on one side of the Sonic Wall. So the Sonic Wall is like, think of it as like a really effective firewall that completely segregates you from the world. And so they could ping all they want, but if they don't know the VPN's address, then they'll never be able to DDoS you. In fact, all of our networks at work use VPNs. Let's see. On 1440p, your 680 runs Crisis 3, max 45, max... Yeah, that's about right, at 1440, yeah. Your 680 on Crisis gets like 35 frames per second completely maxed. I would wonder what else is going on with your computer if that's the case, because my 680 and my AMD have no problem with it. Now, when I'm streaming, that's a different case. But I think a lot of it starts to come down to... processor at that point. So let's go ahead and check Twitter here. See, I know we got some interactions here. Okay, you linked me to the Titan. Cool. I already read that setup. What are my hopes for Titan? Well, let's take a look at it together. I've never seen it. I'm opening it up now. What I'm wondering here first off on Titan is this. Okay, it's a GK110 based GPU. But is it a single GPU or is it a dual GPU? For $900... Is this okay? So this isn't considered like. I'm assuming that this isn't considered a new series of cards. However, it's just a new enthusiast card. See, 6 gigs of RAM, 384 megabit or 384 bit memory bus. I'm not seeing anywhere where it says whether or not it's 1 or 2 GPUs in it, though. If it's 1 and it's beating the 690 and it's getting an X7107 score, that's crazy. That's at 1080p, guys. That's a 1080p benchmark beating a lot of people's 720p benchmarks. All right. Going back to the stream here. Where are you guys? I've got too many tabs open. Holy crap. All right, here we go. Yeah, let's see. Snoods, do you have the latest drivers? Okay, BF3 beta FPS compared to the newest drivers is so different. Yeah, I installed the newest drivers for my NVIDIA, and I'm really happy with it. It's nothing. I mean, I guess I leave VSync on, guys. I'm a firm believer that you should leave VSync on because you don't want your card to do what's called runaway. It's a lot of card manufacturers will all tell you they recommend leaving VSync on simply because they do not want it's not good for your graphics card to be running 100% or even near 100%. So when you turn on VSync, you'll find that your card runs cooler, it runs quieter, and 60 frames per second locked is much smoother than high or hyper frames. Anything above the frame rate of your monitor is like a hyper frame. You don't want that going up and down, 70, 80, 70, 75, 85, 90, 70. When you see that type of fluctuation in the frames per second, your eyes are going to see that. They're going to perceive that choppiness much more than the fluctuation at VSync turned on, which may only go up and down 5 frames per second. So, best case for $50, probably the half 912, which is funny because I was kind of giving it shit earlier. MSI 978 G46 motherboard, FX 8350, PNY 668 gigs, 650 speed RAM, 650 speed RAM. Okay, TR2 600 watt. Is this a good system for gaming? The 970A is all right. The 8350 match with a 970A is a little bit weird to me. If you're just doing gaming, I would honestly say ditch the 8350 and go with like a 6300 or even the 4300 because your games aren't going to take advantage of the 8 cores anyway. Like in fact, when I'm doing gaming and I open up when I open up my monitor here, I usually see only 4 cores that are maxed, and then they'll alternate. So you can save some money there, which will allow you to put a little bit more memory in there. I personally like 16 gigs even for gaming. And then you can get yourself a 660 Ti. And so then you would have a really good AMD gaming rig. Let's see. You keep hearing VSync. VSync stands for vertical sync. Your monitor renders in 3 segments. So you got a top third, a middle third, and a lower third. And your monitor renders those 3 separately. Okay, so what happens from there is that if your frames per second is faster than the refresh rate of your monitor, which is measured in a hertz, so 60 hertz would be 60 frames rendered in a second. When your speed goes faster than that, you start to see tearing, where your monitor cannot render as fast as the signal being sent to it, and so you get tearing, where those segments of the screen don't line up. They're off-centered and usually in a diagonal because they're rendering at a different rate than they can appear. So you start to get what's called screen tearing. And so I always leave vertical sync on, and what that does is it tells the graphics card, don't send me more frames than I can handle. So if you have a 60 hertz monitor, that would be 60 frames per second. If you have a 120 hertz monitor, that would be 120 frames per second, and there you go. I gotta text my wife real quick. All right, guys, get in. I got 15 more minutes here. Give me your questions. You have the half 912, you bastard. I have a box for a half 922 in there. I actually gave my friend for his birthday my half 922 case. When do I think next gen CPUs and GPUs will come out? Haswell's right around the corner, and AMD just launched in October their pile driver. So I don't think we'll see anything from AMD until, let's see, in October of 2011 is when they launched Bulldozer. So let's just say October of this year, maybe we'll see Steamroller. Haswell, I think we'll see before June. Haswell is Intel's new processor. Best case is the Source 220. You know, best case is always going to be subjective to your opinion. So, yeah, yes, Q Evil. That's what VSync is. I don't think there's been any questions on on Facebook here. Jacobo says blam 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 blam. Yes, obviously you've been in Twitch. Titan is a single GPU, GK110. That's awesome then. If GK110 is that good of a performer, I'm going to start saving my YouTube money now because I will buy one in a heartbeat. But it makes me really wonder what GK114 is going to be capable of. Holy shit. Send me a link of the PCB. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, and once again, because if you can't see it because it's in my computer, my 680 uses two 6-pin PCI Express connectors, and even my GTX 580 used a 4-pin and an 8-pin and a 6-pin, and this looks like it's using an 8-pin and a 6-pin again. So that's really cool. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? But man, $899. I had to wait for there to be a water block for it and stuff. So by the time I get it, it probably will not be new. Best case CPU and motherboard for $360. Okay, Panda, you're going to have to start shopping on your own for that stuff. It's starting to become some weird combos now. What do I think of the Roswell Thor V2 case? Thinking of getting it. I like Roswell's stuff, their gaming series stuff. Roswell's one of those brands, though, that they make really good stuff, and they make some really crappy stuff. So, but the Roswell gaming cases have always been pretty good. Snood says he loves adaptive VSync and hated it when it would drop to like 30. Yeah, but you know, 30 frames per second VSync is smoother than 30 frames per second of worth of GPU that can't keep up. Honestly, adaptive VSync, if you're not aware, says that you can run a faster frames per second than 60, and it will keep it synced. I believe anyway. And then if it goes below that, no, it keeps it locked at 60. I don't remember. Anyway, I don't run adaptive VSync, honestly. And it's funny because my second monitor right over here is a 120 hertz 3D monitor. So I really should put like Battlefield over there every now and then and run it at 120 hertz VSync and see what happens. But it's not a 1080p monitor. It's a 1050 monitor. The Half X NVIDIA edition? Yeah, but I don't like the bright green. Hey, Jay, you tweeted me the other day. Do I remember? I honestly get a lot of tweets, man. So I don't... You would have to tell me what you said, man, before I can tell you if I remember or not. Best GPU for 140... What is that, pounds? I don't know what that E is. Is that euros? 140 euros? I don't know what that converts to. But you can get the TX 750 or the TX 650 depending on your needs, and they're pretty they're pretty good. Like mine's a gold series. Have I seen the Asus Aries 2? No, I haven't. I don't know what that is. Yeah, you know, Rage, the only thing that sucks is that the moment the Titan has a release date, the price for my 680, the sale value is going to plummet. So, I don't know, we'll see. I mean, I sold my 580 for $250 when it was still going for $300 to a local friend. And then I guess if I can make, God, I had to make $350 to $400 just to bring the Titan down to the price. And then I have to wonder if the Titan, how well the Titan's going to perform in an 8350, if there's going to be any sort of bottlenecking. So, You know, I'm always telling people sometimes it's better just to get a second card of your current card once it gets cheap rather than upgrading. But I think it's going to depend on what the power consumption of the GK110 or that Titan looks like. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. What's the best game I've ever played and why? Probably Fear 1. Fear 1 was like the first concept of the horror game, or not horror game, the horror shooter, and that it was just really fun. I liked the way Fear was done, and I'm still a fan of the Fear franchise now, all of them. So and that's why it was just really good at engaging you into a firefight and then scaring the crap out of you with some supernatural stuff you're not expecting. So, do I ever plan to upgrade my case? The 900D looks like a beast for water cooling. Yeah, but have you looked at the price of the 900D? I would have a hell of a time paying $350 for a case. I really like my NZXT Switch 810. 170 bucks. You can't beat it for, you know, what it is. You know, what you get for 170 bucks is amazing. Plus, I have a 3-year-old, and my 3-year-old is really good at swinging things around and bumping into things, and that aluminum finish would look like crap after a while. And so I doubt it. What if I could pick my dream case? It would be a white powder coated Mountain Mods case. And if you guys don't know what Mountain Mods is, just go and look up mountainmods.com, I think. If not, Google it. And they just look like big cubes, but you can it's completely modular, and you can have them build it however the heck you want them to build it. And all of a sudden, our viewers dropped down to 10. What the hell happened? Did everyone get DDoSed? I think everyone got DDoSed. Yes, that must be what happened. Let me refresh. We went from like 30 down to 10. What the hell? Whatever. That works for me. All right, guys, so I'm going to get out of here in 8 minutes. So let's get the last of your questions up here. Hey, Jay, you're doing a PC build in a day or two. Could I shout out your video at the end saying, if I want to get an 850 build, check out? Yeah, sure, whatever. If you want to shout it out, I don't mind. Talking about Fear made everyone leave. Yeah, it was weird. It was like 30. I think it was at 27 people, and all of a sudden, bam, went down to like 10. So now we're really close and intimate with each other, so we can get all up inside each other's heads. How's that? The Titan is the same GPU as the NVIDIA Tesla K20X, same shaders, bus bandwidth, and everything. The guy says 235 watts. If that's the case, then that's 235 watts would be amazing for the power. Yeah. We do know for sure that the Titan won't draw more than 300. That's a physical limitation. Well, that's good, because the GTX 580 was like worse than that. I'm honestly wondering where the hell everybody went. To be honest with you, that was crazy. Everyone was there and then they were gone. I even see it over here on the chart. It was just like 20, it was 31 people and then bam. It was like everyone just like left at one time. That was crazy. Well, maybe we want to start YouTube. I didn't really want to start YouTube, to be honest with you. It was kind of like a dare almost. I was dared to see if anyone would care or would be popular, and so I tried it, and then whatever. Here we are today, and apparently people don't like the live stream because that sudden like cliff that actually really cracks me up. Everybody crapped themselves when I said Fear. Literally, I was talking about Fear and everyone left. What the hell? Okay, 5 minutes and I'm out of here, guys. The 680 uses 195 watts. Before overclocked, yes. And, you know, my whole system at load only draws like 350 watts, something like that. Not too bad at all. Oh, you just, JD Mega Swag just got partnership today. Cool, man. Congrats. Partnership is fun because then you get a lot more tools to play with. All right, guys. We are wrapping this up. So if you got something you want to ask or say, do it now because I'm shutting her down promptly at 6:45. I got things I want to do today with my daughter. So now we're down to 9. Okay, how can you measure how much your system is using in terms of power consumption? You got to get yourself like a watt meter, and you plug your computer into the watt meter, and then you plug your watt meter into the wall, and it will tell you exactly how many, how many watts and whatnot are being drawn. So, what did you want to know? Wait, what did you want to know again? Oh, I asked what you were doing about a main hard drive. Because you're going with 120 watt solid state, but that will fill up really, really fast. Do I watch Linus Tech Tips live stream? No, I don't usually. I think he does it on Fridays, doesn't he? I've looked every once in a while at the replay, like some of it, but I have never watched it, honestly. I'll be honest with you. I don't really like watching Linus Tech Tips that much. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. I mean, we all know. We all know sometimes I don't like this or I don't like that, and you just when people say, "Well, why not?" and you go, "I don't know, I just don't." That's kind of how I feel about Linus. Like he's a super smart guy. He's probably more knowledgeable than I am at a lot of things. But I don't know. I just something about it. Can't put my finger on it. It is 6:41 p.m. here, Elliot. Play Special Forces Team X. It's a good game. Is that like on Steam or what? In the final minutes, check out the build PCs. What happened? Where'd you go? In the final minutes, check out the build pics I sent you on Twitter. Okay, I'm looking. Here's a link showing the PC. No. Rage, I don't see your Twitter links, man. I really don't. I'm either blind or something, because I don't see it. Let me go to your Twitter page and look. I want to see this. Yeah, I see your Titan links and stuff, but I don't see anything about your build. What do I think about the Zalman Z11 Black Steel case? I like Zalman. I really do. In fact, when I was at CES, I went to the Zalman booth and was just like I was having a lot of fun just looking at how pretty everything is. I've always liked Zalman. The only problem is there's some things with Zalman that's way, way expensive. And they were one of the first. They were honestly one of the first like enthusiast heatsink makers for gamers, and they had like that circular heatsink with a fan blew through it. It was really neat. Did I get my 8350 to 5 gig stable? Nope, I got it to 4.996, and that doesn't count because it didn't say 5. 5.016 was the next 1 megahertz jump on frontside bus, and Core 7 kept shutting off. Well, not just Core 7, but it would switch, but a core would always quit in the middle of my stability tests. So, is it worth buying an SSD for games? I got a 120 gig SSD for Windows. I put one game on my SSD, whatever game I'm currently playing the most, and for me it's been Battlefield. The only thing SSD is going to do for your gaming is going to be increase quicker load times. You're not going to gain any faster frames per second or anything like that. Mechanical or membrane keyboard, it's all about feel. If you like the feel of membrane, go membrane. If you like mechanical, go mechanical. So, Control plus F, build itself on my Twitter page. Should be the only thing. All right, let's look. In fact, Twitter is just not even wanting to load right now. All right. What'd you say to search for? There it is. Okay, let's take a look here. Oh, look at all that spaghetti wiring in the back. Gotta love the spaghettis. Look at that. Look at that Maximus. Every time I see somebody with a Maximus, I always get a little bit jealous. Because I do kind of wish I was on Intel, I'll be honest with you. Is that a HAF 100, HAF 100i? Or not HAF, H100i? The tubes look different. Okay, that's your That's a nice build, man. I like it. I'm a little anal with the wiring. Like some of that wiring would really bother me, but overall, it's a really good job. That's cool. You got to show me some of the benchmarks on that thing. Duradel, hey bro, thinking of getting Battlefield 3 tonight. Do I have any time to play? Not tonight, Duradel. Tonight I am having a little sleepover with my daughter. We're letting her stay up late. We're going to watch movies. We're going to eat ice cream. We're going to get drunk. We're going to do some cocaine. And she's going to have the best time of her life for being 3. And so I'm probably going to get reported now or something, aren't I? No, seriously, we're having a little pajama party with my daughter tonight, so we're letting her stay up late and all that sort of stuff. So retweet his build. All right, let's do that. There, retweeted. If you guys want to see his build with his Maximus and his specs are really nice. I mean, his computer is probably faster than mine. I would love to benchmark it against yours, honestly. Okay, Rage, do me a favor. And we keep losing people. Where are all you people going? I hate you all. I hate all of you. Okay, so honestly, Rage, do me a favor. 3D Mark 11, just run it in performance mode, and let me see what your scores are. My score on this thing right now has been a consistent 10,365. You should beat it, but I guess we'll see. So, anyway, guys, that's it. I'm 2 minutes over. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys have anything else you want me to answer for about the next maybe half hour, I'll respond on Twitter. But after that, that's it. I'm going to be shutting her down now, and hopefully you guys will check out my next video. It's going to likely be how to overclock your computer. And do me a favor, send me ideas for videos that you guys want to see. I've got plenty of ideas, but sometimes I like to do a viewer's choice. And you know, I was kind of bitching about my water cooling vids and my how to build a PC vid, I thought the views were too low on those. They really are low, but I'll be honest with you, God, the retention on those videos is really high. Like my how to build a gaming PC video is over 85% retention through the entire video. Like at the very end of the video, at 100% watched, it's still 80% retention. And then my water cooling vids, one is at 88%, and the other one's the filling, how to fill and bleeds at 75% retention the entire video. I don't have any other videos like that. Even Tech Addiction. Tech Addiction always had the highest retention of all my videos. Some of the other ones dropped down to like 40% retention. So whatever you guys want to do, man, whatever you guys want me to do, tell me. And give me some video ideas, and if I use your video, maybe I'll give you guys a shout out. So, all right, guys, I'm getting on out of here. Thanks for the 8 of you who stuck around at the end. I don't know. I would really like to know what the heck happened there. I wish you guys could see this. Let's see. I'm going to show you guys here what it looks like on my end anyway. This is the, can you see that? Oh man, you guys can't really see that, can you? Let's try and get another angle here. Come on. Damn it. I wish you guys could see that, but you can't. Anyway, there's a chart right here, right? And you guys can follow my finger anyway. And this chart is showing me what's happening, how many people are staying, how many people have hit playback, how long you guys have watched, and I can see it, right? And then all of a sudden it goes wham, all the way down to right here. It goes down that far and then stays there. So I don't know what the heck happened or what I said. I done pissed somebody off. And maybe someone was watching on a lot more than one computer. Who knows? But yeah, I won't bring up fear next time. Screw that. All right, guys. See you later. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream.